They're just happy to get it working, I think.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. We have 81. We have 81 attendees. So that's how we go unmuted. Unmuted.
I think we should start. We agree start? They ready?
Sure.
Are they ready in there? Starting. Hello, and welcome to the Site Remediation Program's hot topic on how to submit a CD and the ISRA online. I am Lynn Mitchell. I am with the training committee. I have worked with the department for many, many years. I have worked in the Site Remediation Program in most of the bureaus. I've worked with ISRA. I have worked with US programs, and I am going to be moderating the training this afternoon. I am with the Bureau of Field Operations now, and I'm a section chief in that group, and I'm also the co-chair of the training committee. I am now going to turn over this training to Scott Tyrell, who is a section chief in the Bureau of Information Systems, and he will continue the training. Before I forget, for people who are here, please keep your cell phones off or on vibrate. And if you want to say anything, please wait until we have the microphone so that the people who are on the webinar can hear.
Thank you, Lynn. As Lynn was saying, this is the hot topic training for how to submit a CDN or ISRA GIN online. We are going to be recording and posting this training later with the PDF of the PowerPoint. So if there's something that you want to review later, in about a week, we'll be posting it up. You can listen to me again and take a look at the PowerPoint. Next slide, please. So today's training will go through all the steps necessary for a first-time user to submit a CDN or GIN through DEP's online services, including how to run helpful DataMiner reports and how to set up an online account. We're going to be focusing on new users because people that are familiar with DEP Online already, such as LSRPs, have already been successful submitting CDN and GINs. It's been out for about a week, and we have several submissions in already, even though the paper form is still available at this time. Next slide. So we're going to start with submitting a CDN online, and for the CDN online, it's important to have your information ready. Next slide. So a CDN is required to be filed within 14 days after discharge of hazardous substance has been reported to the hotline. The information provided in the service will be used to create or update our database. So where there's a lot of keystrokes that the department has to do now, that work will be done, and we can more ensure that the submissions are complete and that we don't have to come back and ask for additional information. Next. Okay. For submitting a CDN, there's a situation right now where a CDN is submitted, but the hotline is not called. And that's where, if contaminated historic fill is the only area of concern, right now you can still submit on a paper CDN that takes care of that. In the future, we'll be coordinating those with the Bureau of Case Assignment and Initial Notice. Since the CDN service involves an incident that was called into the hotline, the service cannot be completed until the DEP has processed the reported incident. It may take up to 3 days after the hotline is called to process the incident. Next. So before you begin, to ensure fast and smooth submission, ensure that your incident number has been processed by NJDEP. So we're going to run reports to try to determine that. The reason is that once the hotline is called, DEP has to determine if the incident is subject to the Site Remediation Reform Act, SARA. You'll also determine if the facility where the incident occurred already exists in DEP's database. And I just want to note that the CDN service can be prepared by one person and certified by another, but only if it's an existing facility is picked during the service. Next. Okay, so we're going to start with DataMiner reports. And to run DataMiner, go to the SRP home page and click SRP data. Next. Okay, so first we're going to search for an incident number. So we're going to click incidents and complaints. Next. And then we have a couple of options for searching for incidents. We have address, number, and county and date are the more common reports that can be run. And one thing to note is the in the report, it's called incidents by communication center number. We often say incidents, but officially it's the communication center number is actually what's given out. And that number's in the form of a date. It's the one with all the dashes in between. Next slide. So if we click on the address report, this is what comes up. And to search by the incident number, you enter the incident number provided by the hotline. In addition, you may receive a letter, or the responsible party may receive a letter, or the incident reporter may receive a letter with the incident number on it. If you get a letter, the incident's already processed. So if you get a letter, they can go right in and run the service or set up their facilities at that point. So you would enter the incident number here, and then it would give you the list of the incident. Next slide. Okay, so next we have incidents by address. So to narrow it down by address, you have to put a date range of when the incident occurred. And then you would type in a piece of the address so that it doesn't have to be an exact match. And it'll search the address and bring back any incidents in that date range with that partial address. Next slide. And then the last report is in the entire county. So you're going to want to do a very narrow date range. And then choose the county. And then again, click submit. And it'll give you back an incident list. You can pick an incident off that list. Okay, and what it'll show is the incident DataMiner report, and this is the details of the incident. And what we're looking for is a 2-page or more incident report. If you have a 1-page report, it hasn't been processed by DEP yet. Next. So if you have a 2-page report, what you're looking for is the follow-up status that's circled in red there to be pending LSRP. So in this case, the follow-up status is blank, hasn't been processed by DEP yet. Next. So here we have an incident finally where the follow-up status is pending LSRP. So the DEP's processed it, recognized that the incident is subject to the Site Remediation Reform Act, and is ready to be used in the CDN service. Next. Okay, so if we confirm we have an incident that can be used in the CDN service, the next thing we need to do is if we don't have a PI number, which DEP Online calls a facility ID, we need to search for our facility. Users that have facilities already, the service goes a lot faster, and the department may not even have to look at the service going in, and the acknowledgement letter could come out right away. And then the LSRP could then retain right away. So having a facility is very beneficial. So we're going to run a DataMiner report to check if the facility exists in the DEP database. If it exists, it'll show up in the facilities report, and you'll record the PI number so you can add it to DEP Online later in your workspace. If it's not in the report, the facility doesn't exist, then you can add it during the CDN service, but it's typing in all the facility information. Next. So back into DataMiner, we're going to click on the Site Remediation DataMiner Reports section. Next. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to, can you go back one, I think? Yeah. Just going to find where we are now. Okay. Yep, so we're going to click this Site Remediation DataMiner Reports. Go ahead, next slide. Right. And then we're going to scroll down to Site Search Report 3. Put in the site remediation. I think it's a little mixed up. And then you're going to pick all SRP sites by selected PI address. Then we're going to type in a partial address in here and click submit, and you'll get a list of potential facilities to choose from. Go ahead. So here's an example of a list of facilities. You would go ahead and write down the PI number, which again, DP Online is going to call a facility ID. Next. Okay. So, we still haven't submitted a CDN Online yet. First of all, if you're a new user, and this is focused on that, we want to set up a DP Online account, set up your workspace so that you have the information you need in it. And also there's a authorization form for CDN or GIN submissions through DP Online that should be completed by the responsible party. And then we can complete the CDN Online service or the GIN, same situation. So for setting up an NJDEP Online account, use a compatible internet browser. Right now, Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, and also Edge should work with this. Internet Explorer, Firefox, definitely. So you'll go to that web address, or you can also Google NJDEP Online, and it'll should be the first website that comes up in the search. Okay, so when you get to the NJDEP Online web page, and if you don't have an account, you would click Request Access to DP Online right there. In addition, there's more expansive instructions. Right above that red circle, there's a link for instructions, and it's a PDF for setting up your online account, so you can look at that too. Next. So once you click that, you enter your name, your organization name, and your email address, and confirm your email address. That'll take you to this page where to put your information in this page. If you have an existing My New Jersey account, you want to just link DP Online to it. In section A, you would put in your logon ID and password, and then you would click the link DP Online to My New Jersey. And then you're basically done, and it adds DP Online to your My New Jersey account. If you don't have My New Jersey, you just populate the information, which part of it will come in from the previous page. And then again, there's a I can't remember part, which is part C below. You'll be forwarded to enter your contact information, and you have to enter one phone number. And then it's going to ask you 5 challenge questions. This is for certifiers. When somebody certifies a service, they have to answer one of the 5 challenge questions that come up randomly. So either remember or write down the answers to your challenge questions, because we do get responses that people have forgotten them. Next. And next, you're going to create a certification pin. It's possible that your certification pin, you could use the same, your password, your NJDEP Online password for your certification pin. And then click Continue to proceed to your workspace setup. Go ahead. Okay, so we need to add the service itself to our workspace so that we can click on it to actually run a service. So you're going to have clicked service selection, and then pick Confirm Discharge Notice from the service selection. scroll down to the bottom, and click OK to continue. You'll be forwarded to this page where you can click your workspace. Okay, at that point, you've set up your account. You can log out and you can log back in again, and you'll have the CDN in your workspace, and you can click on it, anytime you need to do one. So this page gives you, again, the web address, and also you can log directly into DEP Online, or you can go to the state webpage homepage, and on the upper left there's a link where you can log in that way too. There's kind of two ways to get in there. Okay, so next, we did a search before. Hopefully we found a facility. If you didn't find a facility, it doesn't exist in our database, but here's where you would add your facility. So in your workspace, click the Add Facilities button. Go ahead. And then what you would do, the best way to do it is there's an optional select NJDEP program there. Pick site remediation in that dropdown, and then you can enter the facility ID in the PI ID and the facility ID selection there, and click search. Go ahead. And then if you just put in the facility ID and not a name or something like that, you'll get one thing to pick from, just one choice. But if more than one thing comes up, choose your facility, scroll to the bottom of this screen and click Add Selected Facilities. Go ahead. Okay, now we're going to do preparing the authorization form. So the reason we have an authorization form is Spill Act and ISRA have strict requirements for responsible parties and who can certify a service or the form. This form ensures that these submissions are going to be in compliance with the law. So what you'll do is you'll go to the web address here from the Site Remediation Forms page and download this form. You'll print it out, fill it out, the certifier will fill it out, the responsible party will sign it, and scan it and save it as a PDF to someplace on your computer where you can find it. So now we have enough information to complete the CDN service. So you added this service selection before. So this is what your workspace looks like. You'll have the site remediation section, and underneath of it you'll have confirmed discharge notice. So you'll click the confirmed discharge notice to start the service. So this is the only time I'm going to talk about this. There's a help at the top of every page. It goes to general help, and if you have any issues in the service, then you would go ahead and click the help, and it links to portal comments at dep.nj.gov email address, and you can email portal comments, and someone will get back to you to address the problem that you're having in the service or question. So as you start the CDN service, read the instructions and click continue. Go ahead. Okay, so there are two choices for CDNs, and they're very important. The first choice is confirmed discharge notice, which is discharge from a regulated US system only. This is if you had, it's self-explanatory, from a regulated US system is where the facility has a registration and there's been a discharge from the US system. So of course in that case there's already a program interest ID or facility ID that exists. You'll be forced to choose that facility in the service. So you have to have a facility in your workspace, or you can add it on the facility selection page. The other choice is everything else except UHOT, of course. It's confirmed discharge notice for all other non-US Spill Act discharges. So the upper choice is for US discharges and the lower choice is for everything else that has an incident comm center number, that was flagged by DP as subject to the Site Remediation Reform Act. Next. Okay. Next will be facility selection. And you can either pick from the list of facilities that you added before, or if the facility doesn't exist in the department, you have to add a new facility. And that's kind of the path that we go down in this. Go to the next slide. This is slide describes the path. We're going to go mostly down the right-hand path, creating a new facility that doesn't exist anymore. But like I said, if you were doing the UST service, you would be going down the left side, where all you're doing is choosing what's already in our database and adding some context. So if you have a facility, it makes things go faster and more smoothly. Just less information to go ahead and enter. Go ahead. So here we are in the facility selection page, and SRP facilities that were in your workspace are going to be listed, and you can choose one if that's your facility for the incident. But if not, you choose the checkbox at the bottom in the red circle. I do not wish to use a facility currently in my profile. Okay, you're going to get submission name. This helps you identify the submission and the service. For new facilities, we need to have the facility name right there as the submission project name. So it's really the project name. So please just put the facility name in there. If you did pick a facility, this may come in pre-populated, and then you can leave it alone if you want to. So you'll click continue to go into the next page. So because this is a new facility, we don't have any information for the site, so the site information page comes up. You'll put the facility name in for the case name, facility where the discharge occurred. Fill out the address. If you don't have an address, like it's a discharge in a right-of-way or something like that, then you fill out the location description instead of the address, though you still obviously need a county and municipality. Go ahead. Okay, we asked for X and Y location coordinates. If you don't have those, you can take advantage of the service and click the Launch GeoWeb button. As long as you had in the upper part an address and a zip code, it should try to find your facility. So if you click Launch, so a new window will open in your browser, and NJDEP will open, and hopefully right on top of your facility. In the lower right-hand side, there's a little XY button. You click on that, and then you hover over the map, and it'll give you X and Y coordinate locations. So while your mouse is hovered, you need to write down the X and Y coordinates. X is first, Y is second. Next. So because it's a separate window open, you can click back on the tabs to DP Online and continue with site information like it is here. Enter the X location, the Y location, block and lots, and click continue. Go ahead. So what you should be looking at next is the facility where the discharge occurred. An aerial photo comes up. So this is your check that you have the right information in the right place. If it's incorrect, you need to go back using the progress bar on the left-hand side. You can click back to site information and go ahead and use GeoWeb again and try to get the information more accurate. So if that looks good, if that's your facility, then you would click continue. Go ahead. Okay, we spent all that time looking up our incident, confirming that it was available. So next is the incident selection. You put in the incident comm center number, make sure all the dashes are in there. It has to be an exact match. And then you click search. And then in the detailed information, the incident information will come in. You confirm that is the incident that was called into the hotline and click continue. We ask for a property owner and a responsible party. There could be more than one responsible party. You can use the available contact type and add contact buttons at the lower left, and you can add as many responsible parties as you need to. If you fill out one of the tabs, it's also possible to copy one tab over to another tab. If the property owner is also the responsible party, you can copy one to the other by clicking the Insert from Existing Contacts dropdown. And at the bottom of that dropdown, you can pick the other tab, and it'll instantly populate the information into the other tab. When you have both tabs populated with address, full address, names and phone numbers and email addresses, add a phone number to each and click Continue. So on this page, we're going to fill out some CDN details. The date the discharge occurred comes in from the incident and displays for you. And this page shows our new facility. So it's not from a regulated UST, for example. And is the discharge to regulated UST, is we pick no. And then our case type defaults in as Spill Act. And that's really all we need for a new facility on this page. You can add other case types. There are many case types in there. So you can look at the drop-down, add a row and look at the drop-down, and if there's anything that applies to this facility, you can go ahead and add it. Next page. Okay. If you were doing a regulated UST discharge, this is what the page would look like. We said, yes, it is a regulated UST. So we ask for the source and cause of the federal release. And then the person filling this out will also need to add a regulated UST case type at the bottom. So you'll have a Spill Act discharge and regulated UST case types at the bottom. And you put in the date at the bottom also for the case types. So that's all there is to that. If you had a regulated UST, you were saying yes, you would have picked a facility, and the next page would show you tanks, underground storage tanks at the facility, and you would choose one or more tanks related to the discharge. Next. Okay, then we have the attachment upload. For the CDN, it's just the completed authorization form for CDN or GIN submissions. So you would click the Browse button, find the file. It'll just automatically upload, and then you click Continue to continue. Okay, certification. So you want to carefully review all of the information in the submission. So you click the View button on the upper right, and after a few moments, a summary will appear of everything that you just did. It'll show everything in the service. Make sure everything is correct before submitting it, so nothing has to be corrected in the future. You'll scroll down on the submission summary and click Return. It'll take you right back to this page. Answer a challenge question, put in your certification PIN, and click Certify. Okay, after a few moments, the final summary will appear. To ensure a successful submission, scroll down again and hit Return before exiting or anything like that. I just wanted to make a note on facilities with existing cases. Go ahead, next page. So choosing a facility with a case will cause the case selection page to display. So we just want to say don't choose an existing case if the responsible party for the discharge is different than the responsible party for this incident, or the remedial timeframes for the new incident can't be met with the existing case timeframes. So in those cases, don't pick that case. If you can't answer the questions, don't pick the case. If you think you might want to pick the case but aren't sure, call BCANE at the number listed right there. If you do pick a case and it's not the right case, it's a tremendous amount that has to be undone to remove everything that you just did from the existing case. Okay, next. Okay, we're going to go right into submitting ISRA general information online. Some of this is very similar to the GIN, so we're going to kind of race through it. For submitting a GIN, use the GIN to notify the DEP when an ISRA triggering event has occurred pursuant to ISRA. Notification for this must occur within 5 calendar days after the triggering event. Again, as the CDN, the GIN service can be prepared by one person and certified by another only if an existing facility is picked during the service. Next. Oop, next. Okay. So prepare the required PDF attachments. So the GIN requires 3 attachments as opposed to the single one for CDN. There's the authorization form for CDN or GIN, a scaled site map, and the tax map showing the tax lot. Next. So similar to the CDN, you prepare the authorization form same way, download the form, print it out, the responsible party signs it, the person who'll be submitting is the authorized person, they fill out the top part, scan it, save it as a PDF, have it ready to be uploaded. Okay. So before the CDN, we created an account. Now we have an account. We can go to DEP Online and click Login to DEP Online. Okay, the top part here is the actual login page. Once you log in, you come up to a messages page, read the messages. Some will apply to you, some will not apply to you. And then click Continue. It'll come up to your workspace, and just like CDN, you can click Configure Services. Go ahead. Go to the Site Remediation section and pick the ISRA General Information Notice link. Scroll to the bottom and click OK to continue. So that'll bring you back to your workspace. You'll have the link under Site Remediation ready under Service Selection, and you click the ISRA link, ISRA GIN Notice link to continue. Just like the CDN, you come up to the instructions page, carefully read the instructions page. The instructions page tells you everything that you need to be able to get through the service. Similar to CDN, the GIN has 2 submission types. The first one is a new GIN. The second one is a GIN amendment. So if you're doing a GIN amendment, obviously you already have a facility, so you'll need to have the facility in your workspace to be able to do a GIN amendment. New GIN can be for an existing facility, or it can be for a brand new facility that we don't have in the department. So you're going to pick new or amendment. We're going to show new, and go ahead and. So similar to CDN, there's multiple paths through this, 3 paths like CDN. On the right-hand side, we have a facility. We're doing a GIN amendment. You're just going through and picking information for the most part. Going down the left-hand side, we have new GIN existing facility, and then we have a brand new facility that doesn't exist where you have to fill in all the facility information. Go ahead. So we're back to facility selection again. If you're doing an amendment, you have to have a facility in here. If you're doing a new GIN, you don't, and again, you can pick, I do not wish to use a facility in my profile. Go ahead. Okay, the submission name, we have industrial establishment name listed there. So that's what you put in there is the industrial establishment name. For a GIN amendment, well, it may be pre-populated depending on what you're doing. So if it's blank, put in the industrial establishment name. Go ahead. Oh, go back to that, sorry. So we wanted to make a point here in that this is really your opportunity to add comments for the people processing the GIN. And they really need to know, especially for an amendment, what is being amended. So especially for amendments, put in what is being amended in the comments. And it would be helpful for them too, even for a new GIN, if there could be just a brief description of why the new GIN is being filed. Very brief. Go ahead. So path one is, you see this page if you have a new gen and you selected an existing facility, the next page you get should be responsible entity selection. So if you have an exact match of a responsible entity there, including the organization name and the organization address, and it's exactly the responsible party's information, choose it. If it's not exactly the responsible party's information, pick the lead responsible entity is not displayed in the list shown above. We'll collect that information in the context page later. Go ahead. Okay, so path two, if you have a new gen but you don't have the department doesn't have a PI for it, a facility, we're going to add the information in just like we showed in the CDN. It's the same situation where we need the X and Y coordinates, so you can go to GeoWeb here. So you'll fill out the case name, which is the business name. We really need the industrial establishment name, the business name there. You fill out the location address. And for GeoWeb to work, we really need an address and a zip code in there. So for GeoWeb to work properly, make sure there's an address and a zip code in there. And for the business, there should always be an address. So we don't expect you to be using location description, but it's there if for some odd reason you need it. Go ahead. This is the lower part of that same page. Again, if you went to GeoWeb or you had the X and Y coordinates, you put them in here, and the tax block and lots. You can add a row if there's multiple block and lots. Same with the CDN, but typically you just put in the one that's subject to the GIN here. Path three is the GIN amendment. You picked a facility. You have to pick a case for GIN amendment. This shows a lot of cases in this slide. Typically, that's not going to be the case. There may be a few, but usually one. So you'll pick, look carefully at the information, look at the case name and the document title. The ISRA number will be in the document title. So make sure you're picking the right case for the GIN amendment. It's critical. Pick the case and click continue. If you pick a facility, you'll see the additional site information. So this would be new where you had a facility, or an amendment. You'll see this page. This is just confirming the facility location. So you're going to verify the location of the building. Blocks and lots. And then click continue. So all the services come up to the location confirmation page. This shows the facility again. Make sure that's the right place. It should be right on top of the building for the most part. And then you have to choose the check boxes for right of entry, withdraw notification, and municipal notification, and click continue. Oops, I'm running behind, sorry. Next one. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's good. Yep, okay. So now we're on the GIN details. So you fill out the industrial establishment type, and make sure you have the NICE type as primary. So this is a nice dropdown. It has all of the ISRA subject NAICS codes. The dropdown is listed alphabetically, but if you already know the NAICS number, the 6-digit NAICS number, you can type it in, and it'll go. The list will scroll down, and you'll end up, with that number. So that's a key: is scroll down and find it alphabetically. But if you know the number, just start typing in the number. Go ahead. Okay, next we're going to add any previous ISRA/ECRA numbers, and then we're going to complete the transaction types. So examples of the transaction types are bankruptcy, cessation of operation, and then the property sale, transfer of title items. And we have the 5 of those listed here. For the bankruptcy type, we ask for the bankruptcy date. For cessation of operation, we ask for the date of the public release of when the cessation was released to the public. And then you have to either give us when the cessation occurred or when it will occur. And of course, when it will occur is when you think it will occur, but the date of the public release is the key trigger there, unless cessation happened first. Next. Okay, Jen has a few more contacts. We need the property owner, the business owner, a lead responsible party, an authorized agent, and then we have an optional contact of potential purchaser. If there's no potential purchaser, you click on that tab and there's a big red X comes up on it and you delete it. So same as Jen, you fill out all the information. You can fill out one tab, and if all the other tabs are the same, you can use the insert from existing contacts dropdown to insert that contact information into all of the other contacts. Once you've filled out all the tabs and have put phone numbers in all the tabs, you can go ahead and click continue. For our attachment upload, there are 3 required attachments for this. So you can go ahead and click the browse button 3 times, find each file. 2 of them need attachment names, the second and the third. So you're going to put in the authorization form for CDN or GIN submissions. The scaled site map is what comes up first, and then the tax map showing the lot and block. Once all of them show in the file list, you can click upload, and after a few minutes they'll appear in the lower part. Once they appear under the blue bar at the bottom, then you click continue. Make sure all 3 of them are in there. Certification is the same as the CDN. You want to view the submission carefully. Make sure everything is in there that needs to be in there. Scroll down on the view, click return. It'll take you back to the service selection page. Sorry, it says certification. Answer your challenge question, enter your PIN number, and click certify, and a summary will appear just like the CDN. Scroll down on this, click return, and you'll go back to your workspace. For the CDN and GIN, if you have a new facility or you added a new responsible party, in your workspace, you will see the status goes to submitted pending DEP review. What DEP does is tries to find the facility in its database. It tries to find if the responsible party already exists in its database. And it links those instead of creating new ones if possible. If it was an existing facility and no new responsible entities went in, the submission should come in right away. So if anybody has questions during that review, somebody from BCANE may reach out and ask. Once the submission comes in, an acknowledgement letter will go out to all the contacts that were in the service and the certifier. The receive date for the submission will be the certification date. So when you certify, that's the submission date for us. So even though it goes to pending DEP review, and it could be there for a few days depending on, the backlog, the submission will be the date that it was certified. So if you're on that 5th day, for the GIN and it goes to submitted pending DEP review, you don't have to worry about it because you got that date already. Okay, do we have any questions? Go ahead.
Wait.
Wait for the microphone.
Hi, I'm Dan Lawler with Excel Environmental. When uploading attachments for the CDN and in this case the GIN, do you have a certain nomenclature you want us to use? I know for some of the other uploads you need to go PI number _ attachment name _ date. Is that something that's required?
Even though the department excluded the online services from the naming convention, I'd like you to continue to use the naming convention. The reason being is And the reason there is a naming, one of the reasons there is a naming convention is, we had someone submit 10 items to 10 different PIs during the RPS feedback loop. And they called me and they said, I think I uploaded the wrong attachment. They said, oh, I'll go look and see what the name is. And the person said, I named them all the same, right? So we had to go open 10 attachments and see whether it was correct or not. So I think it's very important to just keep that naming convention so that, we can tell whether it really belongs there. And I think it's useful to everyone to have that.
And I do have a follow-up for just the CDN. If you're working with one PI, so in this case an existing facility,
Right.
that has multiple LSRP activity numbers or UST activity numbers, but you want to link your confirmed discharge notification just to one of those, is there an ability to do that as of now?
Right. I said, as long as you can do that. So you're in a situation where you have an existing facility and you'll end up at case selection and it'll show you all of the active LSR cases that are there. So if you choose it, you're not going to create a new case, but you're going to be responsible for taking that incident down the same path as the existing case, and you're going to say that you're going to meet all the time frames of that existing case. So you have to be really careful when you're doing that. If you're not sure, don't pick the case. Think about it, review it, and then you can contact BCANE and say, I need them merged. And then you can start to have that conversation with BCANE. But they'd rather, if there's any question, keep them separate, merge them later, because it's difficult to unmerge them. They may even ask you to run another, CDN to go ahead and create that case. So it's just key that the responsible party is the same and that the timeframes, can be met. You're basically on the hook. Once you do that, you're saying, I'm definitely going to meet those timeframes. And it becomes really strange when some of the timeframes have already been met, then it's really a case for calling BCANE and going, here's the situation, or again, just don't do it and say, can we just merge them now? Yep. That's a great question. Anything else? Anybody else? Oh, okay.
So I believe that there's no online questions besides that they can't hear through the microphone. They're only hearing what you're saying. So they heard the answer, but not the question.
Right. So the question was, if I have a facility, it'll show me cases. When should I pick or not pick? And that's the answer that I gave, is whether you should or not should pick. And there's two answers. One is, if you don't know, you don't pick it, and then you talk to BCANE later. If you do know and you can meet the timeframes and it's the same responsible parties, you can pick it and add the incident to the existing case as long as you can take care of it. Great. Okay, thank you very much, everybody who came and everyone who signed up for the webinar. As I mentioned, we're going to be posting this, and you can contact us if you have any questions. Like I said, we already have successful CDN and GEN submissions, so people seem to be doing okay with it so far. So thank you again, and thank you, Lynn, very much. Okay, great. Cool.
The only thing I really didn't mention about the GEN, Scott, was that you get a subsequent email that you're supposed to send.
True. Oh, shoot, what you told me, yeah. You were going to speak up about that. Yep. Yeah, we usually wait and then see if we have any technical difficulties. So we're going to look at a few submissions, a lot of submissions, really, honestly, and then see if there's anything we need to address before making it mandatory. Correct. Right. So we have a technical issue with PASI. Yeah. Yeah. It makes people submit a receptor evaluation when they've already done one. So I have a workaround I just thought about, but I don't know if I want to do a workaround every time somebody has a problem with it or have